Well, hello and welcome, everyone. We are back at another Concilium episode, and today we are going to talk about Tron 3 Ares. Disney live action movies. What should they not make, or what should they have made? And Ernest L. Marsh train.
L.
Yes, Marsh. Sorry, I don't know where I got the L from. Ernest S. Marsh celebrates 100th anniversary, right? Yeah. Okay. I didn't screw that up at all. Welcome to the podcast.
Can't put me finger on what lies in store. I feel what's to happen. All happened before.
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff.
I have the power to see into the future. Centuries into the future!
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
Ah, how shall I do it? Oh, I know.
Smash it with a hammer!
The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Perhaps Madame Leota can establish contact. She has a remarkable head for materializing.
So
that was a cool little intro.
Yeah. We have another one. It's kind of same but different for the regular podcast. This is the Concilium one.
We on this next trip we're going to be making one of Disneyland and not
so we can go all the way up to the partner statue.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So this person, we were talking about how we have trolls.
Oh.
This person claims to be my biggest fan. But I said she's lying. So that's one of her daughter's friends.
Casper, she's funny.
Yeah,
but she's still a liar.
Well, we have a guest today.
We do have a guest today.
We do.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I don't know why I said that. Anyway, how are you doing, Alex?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing good. Happy that you're here again.
Me too.
Hang on. Okay. You weren't. See, my biggest fan wouldn't leave. Just saying. All right. So, Steve.
Yes.
We want to talk about the train?
Sure. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting because I saw it on Alex's page about the 100th anniversary of the Ernest S. March. And I love riding the Disneyland Railroad. And I thought it was really cool that they're celebrating. Well, I don't know how big of a celebration it is, but at least they're acknowledging it's 100-year of the locomotive. So that's why I asked Alex if he would like to come on and see if he can give us some more insight on this locomotive. As I put you on the spot.
Yeah. So basically, the locomotive was built to haul sand from a quarry, and it was built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in 1925. And it was known as, well, what we would call a saddle tank style locomotive. So essentially that just means that it's four wheels on the track and it has a boiler that is wrapped with a very large saddle tank that holds the water. And that helps provide weight and traction to the wheels, as well as the fact that it helps pre-warm the water a little bit to make a more efficient boiling process in the boiler. And it was kind of ran into the 1950s until it basically couldn't work anymore. I believe it did change ownership a few times. I don't quite remember off the top of my head who those people were or what jobs it had, but sometime between 1925 and the 1950s, it got that little tender behind it. So originally the water was in a saddle tank, but they removed the saddle tank and built a tender out of an ore car. And the tender is what you see today at Disneyland, although it's been, reworked heavily. And then it was Walt Disney who had acquired it, I believe, in 1957. He and his team, headed by Roger Broggie, the Imagineer, had acquired it and started a major overhaul of it. But the problem was that the engine was built in 1925. It was very industrial looking, very 20th century looking. It didn't have that Victorian era look that Disneyland's trains have. And so they were trying to think, how can we, decorate this locomotive? How can we redesign it to look kind of like the Disneyland Railroad? And so it was Roger Broggie that suggested making it look like the Rio Grande #1, which was called the Montezuma. And it was a similar style of locomotive. It was like a kind of like a porter style. So it had 4 wheels basically, but it also had 2 pilot wheels. We call them pilot wheels, but they're all the way in the front, and it helps guide the engine around turns more smoothly. And so the Montezuma was definitely from that era, the 1870s, I believe. And it fit better with Disneyland. So they redesigned the locomotive to look very much, you look at it and you're almost like, oh, that pretty much looks like the Montezuma. And so they redesigned it as that, and it went into service at Disneyland as the 4th train in the fleet in 1959.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was pretty much the only train at Disneyland all the way until 2005. Well, I'm sorry, not the only train at Disneyland. The last train added to the Disneyland Railroad in 2005.
And then 2005 was the Ward Kimball, or?
Yeah, and the Ward Kimball had its own interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And so what were the like enhancements that they had to make for the train to fit into Disneyland?
So it's often described as the overhaul for it was pretty much the only thing that was saved was the cylinders and the wheels. I mean, that might be a little bit of an, overstatement, but it was extensive. But in terms of how it could fit at Disneyland, it was the same gauge. So we call the distance between the rails a gauge. And it was built in 1925 to be 3-foot gauge. And Disneyland happens to be 3-foot gauge as well, except Disneyland's railroad is 5/8 scale. So it's 5/8 of real size. And while the Ernest S. Marsh is technically full scale because it was built to be an actual working locomotive, there wasn't really much they had to do, though, to make it look miniature. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's nothing on it that actually is miniature. Unlike, you look at the other locomotives on the line. I think the only thing really might be the couplers, because the coupler, like you can see now at the front of the locomotive, that's not any kind of full scale size. That's not even for a narrow gauge size coupler. That's actually also a 5/8 scale Janney coupler, or Janie. Yeah. Some people say Janie. I don't know which one it is, but Janney or Janie coupler, and that's 5/8 scale. So it might be the only scaled down bit on it. But what's really interesting about the Ernest S. Marsh is, in a way, it's the most powerful locomotive on the line. I mean, there, a bunch of train nerds would fight me over what the term power means, but essentially, the heaviest trains on the line could be easily pulled by the Ernest S. Marsh.
Oh wow.
Whereas the other trains on the line might struggle, and so that's because the design of the Marsh, which is that almost all of its weight is sitting on those 4 driving wheels, whereas with any other locomotive on the line, it shares the weight with unpowered wheels. So like you look at C.K. Holiday, for instance, the engine number 1, it's called a 440. It only has 4 driving wheels, but it also has 4 pilot wheels, which also supports the front end of the boiler. And so technically, you're sharing some of that weight with the front wheels that are not even powered. And so that makes a difference because a locomotive, its ability to pull people is in the friction of the wheels to the rails, and steel on steel, it doesn't provide much friction. So the more weight you have, the more chance you have at the adhesion to the rails. So Ernest S. Marsh is pretty efficient with its adhesion to the rails. And that's what kind of makes it, what I call the most powerful engine on the line, because I mean, we saw even when they were testing it just after Galaxy's Edge was built, they couldn't fill the train full of people, so what they did was they had it pull 2 whole trains at the same time. And it's really powerful. I mean, when it goes up that incline from New Orleans Square Station to the Rivers of America, that's the steepest on the whole route, at least going forward.
Yeah.
When going uphill, it's the steepest. It's at a I believe it's a 1.5% grade.
Yeah.
Which is pretty steep for trains, and it does that no problem. But any other train on the line, you can hear it struggling, you can hear the wheels slipping. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So that's one of the cool things about it. It's dimensionally the smallest train, but also the smallest locomotive, but it is the most powerful.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yes, that's very cool.
Very.
Yeah. The only thing is, I don't like that they changed all the whistles on the locomotives. So none of them are the same. Not even the Marshes. It's a different whistle than it had when it debuted in 1959. So they all sound kind of dull and muted, and they don't really have much.
Is that? I wonder if that's because there's residents around Disneyland now. They don't want. Yeah.
Well, noise
I'm wondering that too. I'm also thinking actually it has more to do with Galaxy's Edge. Because when Galaxy's Edge opened, one of the worst things was that you could easily hear the Mark Twain and the trains going by because the whistles would be so loud. And it's kind of interesting with low frequencies. They can be detected farther away than high frequencies, but they can't necessarily be heard farther away than high frequencies. High frequencies, they're easier to hear for most people. But yeah, so the whistles were really high pitched. You could hear them very easily from Galaxy's Edge, even all the way over by Smuggler's Run. And so I think that they replaced all the whistles to make them kind of like a lower tune, and they also put a cap on how much volume of steam can go through them. Like with the Mark Twain, they really limited that, because I remember blowing the whistle on the Mark Twain prior to the replacement of the whistle, and you could pull the string all the way down, and you would hear that thing blast, all across.
You can hear it
park.
you can hear it in the parking structure.
Yeah. And when they replaced the whistle, they changed it out with a different, I'm pretty sure a different kind of metal, but they also limited how far you could pull down the valve. And so really it only goes down like a couple inches, and it's not as loud. And so I think they did that honestly because of Galaxy's Edge, because now you can still kind of hear the whistles on the trains and the Mark Twain from Galaxy's Edge, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, that was one thing I was actually surprised, and now that this all makes sense, is in Galaxy's Edge, when that train comes through and making the left-hand turn, they have to ring the bell and you don't hear that in Galaxy's Edge.
No, the bell is harder to hear.
You don't hear any of that.
Yeah. And the bell, they replaced the bell on EP Ripley with something that I don't like the sound of Ripley's bell now. It kind of clangs like you're hitting a pot or a pan. It's really weird.
Huh.
But yeah, I have my own theories about that. But it's just really weird because CK Holiday and EP Ripley had the exact same bell. It was cast by the same company, and I don't understand why they replaced it. But anyway, yeah, so that's interesting. I'm trying to think if there's any more fun facts I know about the Ernest S. Marsh. I mean, there's a famous photo.
Ernest S. Marsh.
Ernest S. Marsh was the president of the Santa Fe Railroad, or Santa Fe Railway, I'm sorry, at the time of this engine's debut at Disneyland. And it was kind of a tradition at that point, because after 3 different locomotives named after officials from Santa Fe, it was kind of a tradition already to just name it after someone from Santa Fe. So they named it after Ernest S. Marsh. And now no one would even know who that is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So then why did they name the Ward Kimball after him? Was that his train?
Well, I mean, I think quite simply, it's because the sponsorship from Santa Fe ended in the 70s, and the Ward Kimball came in 2005. I think at that point they were just like, you know what, let's stop naming it after Santa Fe officials. We have nothing to do with Santa Fe anymore. And they just decided to name it after someone who was very influential to Walt Disney. I mean, think about it. Ward Kimball was technically the first person to really get Walt Disney interested in trains. Because they went together to the Chicago Railroad Fair. I want to say 1940, but I can't remember quite what year that was. But was it 46? I'll take your word for it.
I think it was 46. It was right after the war ended.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I don't remember for sure, but yeah. Ward Kimball. That was an interesting one because it started off with a different locomotive altogether that they had acquired. They had purchased a different locomotive from Cedar Fair. No. I'm sorry. It was from a man who purchased the Retlaw 1 cars. His name escapes me right now. But he had traded he acquired the Retlaw 1 cars in exchange for a Forney style locomotive, but that locomotive was too heavy to run on the Disneyland Railroad and too large, and it was also too small to run at Walt Disney World. So they ended up they had no use for this engine.
Oh wow.
And they ended up trading it with Cedar Fair for the Mod L, which is the current locomotive that we call Ward Kimball, and they were able to restore that. That one was built in 1902, and this episode's about Ernest S. Marsh. So
I had heard something probably from you at one point talking about that. They bought the train, they couldn't use it. I remember something about that. But I just wanted to point it out for this why the name was different, and you took care of that. So
yeah.
We saw Ward's train over at the Paris Train Museum over there, the Chloe.
In the Inland Empire Rail Museum.
Yeah, the Chloe. That's one of the most beautiful, little locomotives I've seen.
Yeah,
I'd like to have one like that.
One of the miniatures that you can ride, the little steamer.
Well, no, it's just like it's technically full scale, but just narrow gauge.
Oh, okay.
And you can stand up inside the cab. That's how big it is. Yeah. So it's a nice little, but it's a very tiny little locomotive because it was built for hauling sugarcane in Hawaii. I forget which island, but yeah, it was built for hauling sugarcane, and so but Ward Kimball had purchased it, named it after his daughter Chloe, and then and he had 2 different locomotives, and both of them were there at the Railroad Museum. They had the other one, which was the Emma Nevada.
That's it. Yeah. I think they were fixing that one up, weren't they, when we went?
They were, and from what I know, it's already it like maybe just months ago they finished.
Oh, really?
That's how long it took. Yeah, because
Wow.
we were there in like 2019.
Yeah.
So I think it literally took them, because they had already been working for 2 years, they said. So it's like 7 years it took them to restore that locomotive.
Yeah, man.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. The locomotives at Disneyland, they can be restored, almost from the ground up in about 2 years. But that's with a whole team working on it, and the team is being paid a salary and all that,
Yeah.
But they send them away from Disneyland for restoration because they don't quite have the machinery at Disneyland to do it. And there's I think the shop that they usually send the locomotives to, I forget if it closed down permanently or if it was about to close down permanently, but there was talk for a while that they'd have to send the locomotives to Knott's Berry Farm because that's the only other place that could really handle the restoration.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
I would have think Disneyland's what they call it, roundhouse, is bigger, but no.
It's technically only that big because it's really what we would call a car barn. So it's just a big enclosed space for storing all the passenger cars. But in terms of what they have for equipment, they can do a lot of stuff there, admittedly. But in terms of a full restoration, they just don't have the room, because I've been in there before and it is crowded. I mean, there is barely room to fit, the 4 locomotives abreast, and there's no space on either side, really. There's space for like a table with tools and equipment on it where they can do small things like, clean out small parts. Maybe they have a lathe where they can remachine some small parts and things. But let's say they needed to recast a wheel, right? Because those wheels, they can crack. Yeah. And so if they needed to recast a wheel out of cast iron, they couldn't, because they don't have the ability. They don't have a foundry. They don't have the ability to recast metal. So that's one of the things that can't be done on site, and that has to be done somewhere else. So
I wonder why they never bothered to expand upon that. I mean, I'm sure they could have made a small shop the size of a little office that they could do a lot more with.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it just comes down to the company being stingy. I mean, I think back in the day, back in Walt's day, if the engines needed an overhaul, they could just send the engines back to the studio, and the studio had the room to do a restoration. And they honestly had the equipment too, because they built all manner of things, everything from sets to cameras. So they had the ability to do stuff like that. But now today, the company is so ridiculous. Everything is compartmentalized, and you cannot cross one department with the other. I mean, you just, I don't know why, but it's just a thing you can't do at Disney anymore. And so they have, it's funny, they have the room and they probably have the equipment somewhere in the studios to do work like that, but they just won't. It'll just never happen. And so yeah, they can't refurbish their own train engines. And I think the company never expanded upon the Disneyland Railroad's restoration capabilities, because I mean, let's say you spend $1 million building a proper foundry to recast huge steel parts for the engines. You may not use that for 2, 3, 5 years at a time. So it just sits there collecting dust, and by the time you're ready to use it, it's all the machinery is probably
outdated.
Well, not just outdated, but it could be seized. You never know if like any of the parts are seized and you can't get it to move again. So, I mean, it's really weird how that works. But yeah, I essentially think it's just because they would just never use it, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's easier for them just to send it out and have it made and then bring it back.
Yeah.
Cheaper too.
Well, I guess it's just all boils down to them, the park making money, and then they're just spending it on stupid movies that don't work.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, so I know of 3 facilities in North America that can cast everything that Alex talked about. Unfortunately, all those facilities are east of the Mississippi, right? So you have Alco Division in Detroit that makes the electromotive equipment for General Motors Corporation, and they make locomotives. And then the second facility is the Indianapolis Foundry for Chrysler Motor Division, and they can make anything you want. They can cast it. The third facility is the Erie locomotive plant run by General Electric, and they currently manufacture the Genesis 800 series. And those are 3 facilities, like I said, that can they can duplicate everything there at the Disneyland Railroad currently. But again, it would all require tooling, scaling, and then cash on delivery of contracts.
Yeah, and like another example too is the boilers on the locomotives. The first 4 locomotives, their boilers were made by Dixon Boiler Works of Los Angeles, and Dixon Boiler Works no longer exists.
Right.
And so it's like if they and when you build a boiler, it has to be done to, there's like American code and standards for that, to make sure that the thing doesn't blow up when you fill it full of steam. So there's very few companies, aside from on the other side of the Mississippi, that really can do that, because nobody really builds boilers anymore, at least not locomotive boilers. But
over steamships as well, sure, or any kind of steam application.
I can't even imagine, like, if you wanted to build a steamship with a massive boiler, like, where would you where would you do that?
Erie could do it. And I mean, because Erie still the motive plant at Erie still does steam engine restoration for working steam locomotives. Like, do you know who Ferromex is?
No.
They're the Mexican National Rail Corporation. They still use steam locomotives on some of their applications down in the Yucatan, and so the Erie plant does the restorations on those.
Oh, okay.
It's a big deal. Like, they put the thing on a ship that goes from the Yucatan all the way up over the St. Lawrence, down through the St. Lawrence, up the canal system to Lake Erie, where they deposit it there at the locomotive plant.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's about 6 months just to get it there. So yeah. And the only reason I know this is because I'm a train nerd just like Alex is. And yeah. Good times.
Well, then back in 2016, when they were doing the construction for Galaxy's Edge, they had to close the railway. So they had the Marsh on display for all of us to come take a look at. And this is from DisneyPhotoBlogography.com. And this was pretty cool. I actually got to see this in real life, so it's really neat to see this in real, and how you can actually, right here, they had a walkway that you can cross over the tracks and actually, for the first time, be on this side of the track with the original station.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, here's a question. During that exposition, did they have the entire consist out there, or was it just the locomotive, its tender, and a few cars?
They had the locomotive, the tender, a couple cars, I think, and then they had a cutaway of the boiler, and you can actually pull the string for the buildup of the steam to let out the whistle. They had a bunch of stuff that was really, really cool to see. I wish I would have.
I didn't take pictures, but I have pictures of some of the. Yeah, because that was such a cool event that I was really all over the internet looking at people's photos of. But to answer your question, they only had a few cars at a time, which was actually really cool because it's better to show you than to tell you. Let me get a photo and then
here's the cutaway right here of the boiler.
Right.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
that was.
And then they had this little guy out. Yeah, the little hand car.
The hand car.
So you can actually walk right here on this on the platform and then come across, and then you can actually sit in there and take your picture. And
can you make that bigger or no?
No, I can't make it bigger.
Well, like hit Control Plus on your browser.
Maybe. No, it's making it smaller.
Am I able to just drag and drop photos into this private chat?
It depends. I don't know if it allows you to do it or we have to do it, but
let me see.
Okay, go ahead and try it, Alex.
No, it doesn't. Let me find a way.
If you share your window, we can allow that. You just have like drop it in a browser or something.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna drop it in the browser and then see if I could,
and then share it.
Yeah. So let me see. Does it work if I wait? Oh, so do I copy the link from the browser and then? Is that how that works?
No, just share at the bottom.
On the bottom, on your screen on the restream, there's like a little monitor with an up arrow.
It should be white colored.
Yeah, and you can share it.
Well, my camera is literally like in the way. I can't see.
That's me.
You can hit H on your keyboard when you're on the restream.
Okay. Well, okay, hold on. Let me just put a few photos on my browser and then
is it Firefox?
It's yeah.
Chrome.
Okay.
It's Firefox.
If it's Firefox, you can change between tabs. If it's Chrome, like you have to reshare each tab. It's kind of dumb.
Oh. Okay. Let me just I had a photo here. I can't figure out how to do this. Not like this is not working. Okay, hold on. Okay, well, let me
H.
That's just like me.
H.
I can't tell what that says. Okay, you said H?
Yeah.
Select. Wait.
Do
and then do like a window.
Yeah, window.
Which is the second tab. And then you can select share.
It doesn't say I can do a window.
Should be a tab.
It says I can share it says live studio restream Mozilla Firefox.
There should be a window.
Yeah, did you
dog.
I'll just share my entire
is that a dog?
Did you put the
Okay, so
there we go.
Okay, so this is my entire screen. Let me go over here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There we go.
So this is the Fred Gurley #3 at New Orleans Square Station. I think this is actually a photo I took. Yeah, and so there's a couple of cars here, and then let me see. You probably can see my files too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're sharing your whole screen.
Yeah, I was like, I just had to do it. So let's see. Here's an image. Go back to
the hand car.
That one. So this is the Kalamazoo hand car, and that was on display on a separate pair of tracks. Yeah. But in this photo, it's actually on the main line. So I think they moved it at some point. But yeah, I love this picture because it's the clearest picture I have of this. And then let me go to one of these files here. I think I might have. Oh no, wait! I'm looking for locomotives. Okay, I might have Ernest S. Marsh there. Some close-up images. Well, I do, but it's too close. Well, here's a cool photo. So this is part of the locomotive battery pack. So this is behind the tender on all the locomotives. And this powers the locomotive itself, not the whole train. The whole train is powered by these batteries on the left, which are attached to the front car of every train.
Yeah.
So neat little photo there that I don't think a lot of people have seen that.
No.
I didn't even know it was battery powered.
No. The battery just operates lights and emergency alarms and things like that.
Oh, okay. Cool,
Yeah, because they have lights and things
and
on the
the
locomotive
field too, right? Doesn't it power the narration tape or whatever they use?
The batteries on the left power the narration, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they have to be really powerful batteries. There's a lot of speakers on the train.
Yeah.
This is the Montezuma, which is what the Ernest S. Marsh was designed to look after. So you can literally see it looks just like the Ernest S. Marsh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And here's a photo of them. Well, here, let me go back a little bit. This is the Ernest S. Marsh as it appeared when they bought it, essentially.
Acquired it.
Wow.
So it was missing its saddle tank. The saddle was removed, and they instead built the tender out of an ore car. And so they have that. But then when they were refurbishing it at the studio, this is it at the studio. And that kind of speaks for itself. But yeah, they rebuilt the cab out of wood, which is not something Disney would do today. They would do a lot of that stuff out of like fiberglass and stuff, but this was actual wood. Yeah,
some kind of composite.
And then here's another picture of what it looked like when they purchased it, essentially.
Oh wow,
it's a lot different.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's very utilitarian, very industrial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very functional.
And the boiler was even, I believe, a little bit larger back then. So it was definitely a much heavier engine. Probably, honestly, could have hauled a lot more weight than it could today, if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, if it was a quarry locomotive, it had to haul that much.
And then, this is just for fun, but this is Ernest S. Marsh at the old original roundhouse.
Yeah.
Hauling the Retlaw 1. So the Retlaw 1, during this time, I believe when this photo was captured, this was the mid 1960s or late 1960s. But essentially, they stopped using the Retlaw 1 when this photo was taken. And they only used it during days of inclement weather because it was the only set of trains that was fully enclosed. So you can see the ground is wet. It had been raining. And so they're pulling it out for the day so that way they can use it. So that was the only time they ever used the Retlaw 1 after retiring it was for inclement weather. So
yeah. That's a neat picture.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. And then this is a picture I took backstage, Ernest S. Marsh. So that's it in front of the roundhouse. Hard to see because it's it's
was
nighttime.
This the time where you were just wandering around?
Yes, this was 2009. I was still a brand new cast member. Nobody told me I couldn't wander around. I could have gotten fired for being in some of the places I've been, but I didn't know that. And so I just would wander around, and the Ernest S. Marsh was sitting out there. And a lot of times, so the trains take turns being outside for the night because there's no room in the roundhouse for all 5. The roundhouse was built for 4 trains and 4 locomotives. So one of them always has to sit outside. And this night it was Ernest S. Marsh. And
you can see the monorail right above it.
Yeah, the monorail tracks. Oh man, that was interesting. So let me show you some of my roundhouse pictures while I tell you this funny story because I think you guys are going to love this. Let me go here. So these are pictures I took inside the roundhouse. Oh wait, now let me go ahead and bring this on here. This is CK Holiday, but basically you're looking inside the roundhouse. The ceilings are all black, so you can't really see them except for the lights. And but essentially, I walked up. There's only one door into the roundhouse at night when everything's closed up, and the door was wide open. So I walked right on in, and I was like looking, and I'm like, wow. And let me show you the view I had when I walked in. I took this picture right from the door.
Oh wow!
So there's the so on the far right you have the Ward Kimball, then you have E.P. Ripley, C.K. Holiday, and way back over there is the Fred Gurley. And you can see there's an engineer standing on top of the Fred Gurley. And so it was because he was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, I love trains. I love the Disneyland Railroad, and I just wanted to come see it." And he's like, "So you just walked on in?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, the door was open." And so
he's like,
"Oh." And I swear the crew looked so confused because no one's done this. So I was just like, "Hey, can I walk around and take some pictures?" And they were just kind of like looking at each other, and they were just like, "Okay, but don't touch anything," And I'm like, "Okay."
And in the meantime, you grab your rag with the polish. Rag.
But yeah, at this time of night, what they were doing was literally polishing up the engines and cleaning them and stuff. But you can see at the bottom of this image, you barely see the corner of it, but this is a pit underneath the tracks.
Oh, wow.
So this is how they get underneath the locomotives to do servicing. And I believe there's only one pit in this whole roundhouse. Whereas I think like at Walt Disney World, they have 4 pits through their roundhouse, but I think Disneyland Railroad only has 1, I believe. But yeah, so, and the Ward Kimball was sitting over it.
So did they paint this in black because of the soot and all that smoke would let off? Or
I don't think so. I think literally it was just from years of smoke.
You know where I'm going with this. Yeah.
He's obsessed with the ceilings.
Oh God! Yeah.
The ceilings on rides, you can always see them, but yet the train, they painted it black. Come on. If they would have done the same thing in Small World, you wouldn't be able to see it. Instead, they have like mixed match color ceilings, and it looks bad.
That's funny. But I wondered that too, actually, if they had painted this ceiling black. But no, I think it's really just years of smoke. But what you can't see is above each locomotive. I wonder if I have I don't think I have a picture of it, but no, you wouldn't have been. But above each locomotive is I don't know what to call it. In a commercial kitchen, we call it a hood. It draws air out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so they have one of those above each of the smokestacks on each locomotive. So the locomotives have to be lined up by the smokestack, so that way they can line up and any cooling down of the engine overnight or any starting up of the engine in the morning, it produces smoke, and so the smoke has to be ventilated out. Which is pretty interesting because I don't know where that smoke gets vented to, because right above is the monorail, and the smoke doesn't come out the front of the building, doesn't come out behind the building. They must have like a system of ducts that you can't see that somehow go up to the top. Yeah. But so there's that. So here's a cool view. When you look down the length of the building, and you can see each of the locomotives. So this is the excursion train number 3. And this is my favorite in terms of the way it looks, but I don't like to ride this train because you're always facing forward and you can't see what's all the dioramas to your right.
Yeah.
But it is the heaviest train on the whole line because it's almost entirely made of steel. No, actually it is entirely made of steel. And it hauls the most passengers too, by 100 people more than any of the other trains.
Yeah, we would always wait for the next one, for that one.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. This is the original freight train from 1955, and it's still in use today, which is pretty cool. Each car is there's 2 different types of cars on it besides the besides the caboose, but this is one of the cattle cars, and right behind it, you can't even tell there's a difference, but there's the gondola car, and a gondola is generally a car without a cover on it, and it usually hauls like gravel, sand, or coal or whatever. It's a big hopper car essentially. But the cattle car is supposed to be enclosed. And the funny thing about this, what Ward Kimball did was Ward Kimball was helping Roger Broggie design these cars. And originally wood slats going all the way up to the ceiling of the car. And they were spaced perfectly by scale apart. But the problem was there was only really about an inch between them. So you couldn't really see out. And Ward told Walt Disney, well, we really need to space these further apart. And Walt said, no, it's got to be to scale. And he said, but Walt, no one's gonna be able to see your park because the slots are only an inch, and people can't see anything. So he managed to convince Walt Disney to allow him to slowly space them apart as they go up. So the bottom slats would be slightly closer than the slats towards the top. And so it got a lot more spaced out. But now the way the park runs, they removed all the horizontal slats almost all the way around, except for the door. So that's the door back there. And that door can still slide, but it's locked. So
the cattle door.
The cattle door, yeah. And then here's the caboose. Oops, sorry. Yep. It's a blurry picture. I thought it was in focus when I took it, but it was difficult to take pictures of the trains in here because I couldn't get everything in shot because it's so cramped. But yeah, so yeah, that caboose barely fits in here. I think the top of the caboose almost touches the ceiling.
It's fun riding in that.
It is. It's one of my favorite things to ride. Yeah. And then this is the original entry into the old roundhouse. It was sealed up after they retired the roundhouse, but it was still there for the longest time, and then it was bulldozed when they built Galaxy's Edge. So
I remember seeing that. Like that was like the thing that was left. Like everything else is dirt around it.
Yeah. Yes, it was almost the last thing to be bulldozed, and I have pictures of that as well. I wonder where that is. It's probably in my file of stuff with Galaxy's Edge. But here's a view into the inside of Fred Gurley. So I walked right up to it, and you can see there's still pressure in the gauge. If this was empty, the thing we pointed down here to the corner, but this still almost has 150 pounds in it. So this thing could take off right from where it is, and the fire wasn't even lit. And the reason why is because they know that they schedule out the trains a week beforehand. So they know that Fred Gurley is going to be used the next day, and they don't want to lose all that pressure. It'll take hours to build it back up again. So what they do is they put like a metal cap on top of the smokestack, and they close all the valves, and they just hold that pressure and heat as long as they can throughout the night. And that way the next morning, it's much faster to get the train started and going.
Wow.
Yeah. But we were talking about New Orleans Square Station. So I'm sure I have a picture of that. Here we go. But this is to the question about whether they had all the cars. Here's a cool example of what they did. Right. So there was only about 5 cars brought out on this day, and the 5th car was disconnected from the others and left back here in the background. And so it was pretty cool because you could walk between them and you could see, what the in-between of the cars look like, which is not something you usually get to see because they're always linked together. So pretty neat. But a lot of their wiring and cables are put in these black pipes that run the length of the backside of the car. So you can't really see it, but all the wiring and cables is for the speakers and stuff and for the communication bells. So all that runs in those black pipes.
Cool.
Yeah. Trying to think which one's a good photo. So this is just a wider shot of the whole thing. They had a little wooden bridge that you could cross over the tracks. So it was ADA compliant. And then you got to walk on this boardwalk over here.
I did that too.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah. I think I was there with Christy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And a view looking that way. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
No, you're fine.
We're good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. How do I unshare my screen?
At the top says stop sharing.
There you go.
Yeah.
I want to.
Cool. I always love looking at all your pictures, Alex. You have like a million pictures.
Oh, I mean, literally, I have files and files, all organized, all corners of Disneyland, all years. It's just crazy.
We always, when we do a ride through, we usually talk about merch, and we do that on movie reviews too. But I did a search and I happened to find these.
I have one of those with Mickey.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you have this one.
No, I have the actual. I have a car, or I have the tender with Mickey on it.
Oh,
cool.
Well, that's weird because
yeah. So I have that one, but it has Mickey.
It's weird, but it looks like they have like all the sections, but they're from 2000. Looks like according to
2002.
And yeah, that's 2002. I don't know why this one is more than the engine, but
the rarity of it.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, and it's an Ernest Marsh, so
that's neat.
Very cool.
That's a neat set.
I've never seen those before. You collect pins, Alex?
Technically no, but when I come across a really cool pin that I know is rare, I'll buy it. Like I have like a set of Walt Disney pins that they did for one of the special events, and I was like, these are gonna be really rare, and so I just bought them. But these, I would collect these if I had the money.
Yeah, no, this is an expensive set for sure.
Yeah.
All right. We should move on to another topic. Shaz.
Yep.
Should we show the trailer for Tron 3?
Yes.
I'm excited. I haven't seen this.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool.
All right, here we go.
120 miles per hour. Last seen heading northbound. Unit 12, acknowledging dispatch. Already in pursuit.
Dude almost lost his arm.
I know.
I'm looking for something. Something I do not understand.
It's like this part is so cool.
Yeah.
We got Gillian Anderson.
It just that section reminded me of the state pup walking by the building.
Ready? Because there's no going back.
Is that Jared Leto?
Yeah.
Back there.
That's it.
Interesting. Wow.
Oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. I'm actually very excited for that.
Yeah,
me too. I really liked the Legacy one. That was really
Yeah,
good.
right.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I keep saying anyway. I was so worried about how they were going to make it look that much better or different, I guess. But the way they did the lights on the suit, and a lot of people are upset, but the disc on the back is actually like a triangle now.
Oh, really?
And then the lights on the wheels of the light cycle are kind of different, and I'm sure there's a lot more. But just like even the recognizer is kind of a different shape a little bit. But it's everything I've seen so far. It's like the same but different, you know. So
yeah, We didn't expect it. How long has it been since Legacy?
Well, by the time it comes out,
15
about
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd expect it to be different.
Yeah,
Well, I
because
would anyway.
everything's updated.
Since 82 to 2010, things evolved in the computer world.
Yeah.
And from 2010 to 2025, things have also evolved since.
Yeah.
That's why that recognizer is the size of a battleship now.
But we don't know what the time frame is in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like it could be like the next day? After
Yeah, I mean, it could be,
events
but
of
it's
Tron
probably
Legacy.
not. But...
Okay.
12 hours later.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. It's going to be years later, isn't it?
But I know in the other in Legacy they had batons, but this one, like when I spun them, it had that kind of light effect, saying like it could slice stuff or whatever. And I just keep thinking like that's like their version of lightsaber now.
Yeah.
I want somebody to redo that joke where he holds it or he throws it in the air and they're like, no, it's not like that. You actually do hold it now.
But you know what that means? They could never hold it in front of them while swinging it because they just hit the little beams that come off of it.
It looks like it disappears, so maybe it's just like a time version, you know. It doesn't like stay the whole time. But yeah, I kind of thought of that too.
Like you'd almost always have to be behind you or beside you, kind of like a torch.
You walk right through it.
Guys, I did it again. I'm stuck.
I recognize myself. Yeah, no, it looks good though. I'm excited.
It's everything's all red. It looks neat.
Yeah. I know you were worried about the music, Jace, weren't you? What do you think?
Well, and then, I mean, like I said, it's a big. The whole movie is a big shoe to fill, really. I like Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
And the stuff where he just goes off and it's just electric style or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at that. So, but I didn't know if he would be that funk good, you know? Like, there's a big difference there. So, but from what it sounds like so far, he's doing a good job. So,
him and Atticus Ross are really good at soundtracks.
Yeah, I shouldn't say he. But...
I hope that this movie is popular because I remember when the first one, The Legacy, came out, and I loved it immediately. I saw that and I was obsessed. I was like, "This is so cool!" And there was rumors that that Tomorrowland was going to get overhauled to have kind of an aesthetic like that, and I thought this would be really good for Tomorrowland. Or that was just my opinion, but and then that movie technically didn't do well.
No, it technically bombed.
Yeah.
Not Snow White bombed, but it bombed.
Yeah, and
it's like cult classic now.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that the second one is really, really, really popular because I'd really love to see them overhaul Tomorrowland to kind of look something like that. I mean,
I have the whole video talking about my idea. So like, during the day, you would still have that retro look and it would be white. And I don't know how this would happen, but during the night we would make it all black and slick with trimmed lights and all that.
You just
and you could have the giant spire as like a centerpiece with lights.
Yeah.
I mean, what they do with the canopy with the Tron ride at Disney.
God,
yeah, like that. That's
beautiful.
It's like it looks. It's really difficult to put it into words, but when you see it in the flesh, it looks completely different at night compared to what it does.
Well, I mean, but there's
yeah.
They actually technically have like transparent concrete.
Yeah.
And then they also have like the light that you can block with electric, and it goes from transparent to opaque.
Oh yeah.
They actually and you have digital ink tablets where it's like clear to black.
Yeah,
you could do something with those and try to make like a scan on top of things. That
they also have material. Back when I had a cafe, the we called them box lights, but basically like in the logo of our name, we were able to make it so during the daytime it was black, but at nighttime it was white and it was bright, and it was all just in the material. And that's pretty. I'd like to see that kind of thing put to use. During daytime it might appear like there's gray stripes along the white of the building.
Yeah, it would look so cool.
It comes alive with like LED color and stuff like that.
Well, in my video too, I talk about how the entrance of Epcot has this new light they put around it that goes around it. Like that was kind of cool. totally remind me of Tron.
Yeah, they need to overhaul tomorrow. Who's going to be going to Disneyland for the first time?
We're going in a month.
Me.
Hey,
In a month.
Yeah.
in July. Yeah.
In July.
Someone else is coming too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaz and Sammy or Samantha are going to be. We'll be meeting up with them, Alex. So.
Yeah, because Disneyland has a totally different feel than Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And so it'd be interesting to see how you guys react.
Yeah.
We're Disneyland Paris pass holders, so we're used to a small park. Well, we've got the world's smallest Disney park in the studio, so I love Disney World, but
with
it's
the dragon underneath.
big. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Disney World is too big for me.
Yeah.
No, Disney World's. I love Disney World. It's like the first park I remember going to, like, and solidifying myself as like a Disney adult. So it's kind of like
I
it's like
absolutely love it.
I absolutely love Disney World. Yeah,
But I love DLP
I feel like
because of the way it's small, and you can walk to both parks, and it just feels like home. But Disney World is overwhelming.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see that too. Fair, but I feel like with Disneyland, because obviously it's so small and so like compact between the two, I think it's just going to be
But you'll also
different experience.
You'll also sense what we mean when we Disneylanders say that you can feel Walt's presence, because there is a tangible like sensation when you walk into Disneyland that you're. Because I've been to Walt Disney World and it's not the same. Like you're like, oh, this is a Disney park. It's it's got all the ingredients for being a Disney park.
Yeah.
But when you go into Disneyland, you're like, there is something here. You can feel a presence. There's like a tangible thing you can almost touch that it just feels so loved.
One, I think it helps was it's like when you first walk in, you're like, oh, there's Walt's apartment right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Above the fire station, everything. Yeah. That's it.
Well, not to cheapen anything that you just said, Alex, but you can't. When you went to Walt Disney World, you didn't feel Roy's presence in the Magic Kingdom, because I do. Every time I go to the Magic Kingdom, I feel Roy everywhere.
See, Magic Kingdom is not my favorite park at Disney World. Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, no.
I will
like
admit,
Magic Kingdom, but I don't get why it's hyped up so much.
I will admit that I am not a Walt Disney World fanatic at all. Particularly Magic Kingdom. I mean, I liked Animal Kingdom. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, okay, this is but Magic Kingdom, I had huge problems with it, and I was just like, I can't stand this place.
Tomorrow is good. That's my favorite.
I was gonna say MK is my favorite purely for Tomorrowland. Like I spend pretty much my whole day there.
Well, they do the
People Mover. You've got Tron, you've got Autopia, you've got
Carousel Progress.
Carousel of Progress. You got Sunny Eclipse. Like it's just.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, Steve and I are really big fans of their train, so
Yes.
there's nothing to look at on that train except for trees until you get to Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah.
And now you don't even see that. Now you see construction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, now you don't have to worry about even trying to see the river because there'll be a nice big car ride in the way.
Yeah. So I don't understand that.
They
better not do that to Disneyland, or I will riot.
I don't think they ever would. There's so much history with your Rivers of America. Like
that, apparently, no one cared really about Disney World.
I mean, your Tom Sawyer Island's dead. Ours is just a floating
as a
rock.
function because Fantasmic goes on it.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's honestly probably the one thing saving our Rivers of America at Disneyland is Fantasmic.
Yeah, because our Fantasmic is at Hollywood Studios. Yeah, right at the back, like behind Tower of
Sailing Ship Columbia. I mean, Sailing Ship Columbia, the only place in the world is Disneyland Anaheim. Only place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like we have Liberty Bell at Walt Disney World.
Plus, the canoes are still pretty popular.
Yeah.
Does Disney World even have canoes?
No.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, they do.
Yes.
They don't run very often, though, do they?
But they're very. They bring them out when the crowds are huge. It's the only time they'll bring them out.
I have
We used to have them at Paris, and then they stopped them.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing like any vloggers.
And they don't operate them in the wintertime either. It's a summer thing only.
I just don't remember seeing a canoe from anybody going, here's the canoes at Disney World.
Yeah, rare.
Yeah. Wow. The more you know.
Well, the queue for the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes is by Big Thunder Mountain in the Magic Kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, if you know, like how you have Tiana's and then you have Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah.
And then there's no way you're going to walk around the Magic Kingdom. Like it just stops there, right? Well,
Disneyland
right there is the queue for the Davy Crockett's Explorer canoes when it's operating, but it's a rare thing. I mean, it used to also be the same location for the Mike Fink keelboats back before they retired them at the turn of the century. Unfortunately, I love those things. Those things are awesome, but neither here nor there. More lamenting about defunct attractions. My favorite subject. There it is.
Yeah. Disneyland still has one Mike Fink keelboat.
Just like they have the one up at Garner Holt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Garner Holt has one, don't they?
Yeah, I remember Justin doing a video showing that. All right. Should we talk about live action movies?
Sure.
Yeah.
We love that.
Wouldn't have been touched.
Well, there'll be one we won't be talking about because
We won't be talking about one of them.
We'll talk about this little part of it.
Okay.
We knew this was coming.
Yeah. So just like we were talking about Tron and Tomorrowland movie as well, because that kind of stopped the Tron movies coming until now. So
yeah.
Movies banned a bomb so badly that it stops other movies. So this one has stopped production of live action Tangled.
Which I don't understand why would they do that?
Because that's what they do, because they're stupid.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with the original Tangled. It's not.
The original Tangled was
not that old.
fantastic.
Yeah,
the
when was
original keyword original. Look what they did to Snow White.
Yeah,
and they didn't need to do that either. But
Tangled was before Frozen was.
Tangled is perfect. You don't need to touch it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah,
that woman is an abomination.
I feel like movie remakes in general really should only go to movies that maybe didn't do so well, and the director's like, you know what, I have an idea that can really improve this.
This is actually exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, we've got a list of ones that they really should
give
remake.
me an Atlantis movie with Dylan Sprouse. I will be sold. Absolutely, 100%.
I don't know.
Or Zack and Cody, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Oh, okay.
Dylan Cole Sprouse, or Tom Holland and Zendaya for Atlantis. Like, that would work so fucking well.
Like ramping.
Zendaya as Kida would be insane. Like, and Zendaya is like a personal favorite actress of mine. I grew up watching her on the Disney Channel with like Shake It Up, and
she was really good in June.
Really good, yeah. And she's obviously in the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. So
right,
and everything, aren't they?
Euphoria, she was in that. That's a fun.
I actually liked Euphoria. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Right. I mean, like, could you imagine Timothy Chalamet in a remake of Treasure Planet?
Oh, absolutely.
As like Jim Hawkins, that would be awesome.
That's the guy from Dune, right?
Yeah, and also Wonka.
Yeah, Dune, Wonka.
And Willy Wonka in the Wonka movie.
You see, like, why doesn't Disney remake those movies where it's like they're good movies, but they just didn't do well, like.
And Emperor's New Groove would be a good one to redo.
Yeah.
And Hunchback of Notredamn, very underrated Disney movie. Terribly at the box office. What was the other one? Hercules as well.
Hercules
would be fun.
There has been talks of Hercules being redone. These rumors.
Well, they're making a stage show, aren't they? To go on the
Megara. Yeah. They're doing a Broadway show.
Cruise line.
Yeah. Which cruise ship is it? Is it the Treasure?
I can't remember.
Or is it the one that's going?
It's one of the new ones.
It's one of the new ones.
The Asian one.
I don't know which one it is. I don't do cruises.
See,
Do I?
Hercules would be a good time to do it because by the time they do that and make it, like maybe the Villain's Land would be done and you can tie it in.
Yeah, that'd be a great tie-in.
That would make perfect sense. But definitely the Treasure Planet and the Atlantis are great Disney movies. They were terrible. Well, they did terribly when they came out. They're total cult classics.
And that was the whole thing with that was the whole DreamWorks thing. That was more like, oh, Disney are copying DreamWorks with. That's why Emperor's New Groove failed so badly, because they were saying it was a copy of The Road to El Dorado, because that was like right before the time Katzenberg left and founded DreamWorks, and like it was a whole mess. Like
that movie started out completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Which one?
Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove. Yeah.
Like
it was all.
There's a whole behind the scenes thing. I think it's on YouTube, but that movie never was supposed to be made. Like it just kept getting changed and changed and changed.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah,
it's one of my favorites too.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of David Spade. So, yeah.
Eartha Kitt.
Eartha Kitt.
Oh yeah, Eartha Kitt.
Patrick Warburton. I love Patrick Warburton.
I love him.
Anything with Patrick Warburton. Hence why Tron is one of my favorite attractions on any Disney property.
Right, of course.
Purely for Patrick Warburton.
Right.
100%.
It's funny because Patrick Warburton was like, I don't know why people hire me because I'm the same character in every movie. And people are like, it's because you're the same character in every movie.
because you're bringing Seinfeld into
everything. Yeah. Absolutely.
So as well as the list of the stuff that they should remake, we were having a discussion about they should go back to doing movies based on rides or backstories of rides, because obviously they did it with Pirates. It was awesome. Well, most of them were awesome. They did it with the Jungle Cruise, even with The Rock in it. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
I love the Tomorrowland movie.
Yeah,
that was totally underrated.
Oh yeah.
And we kind of came up with some good ideas, didn't we, of rides that they could do.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the biggest one that, and I think there was talk about this. I haven't heard anything lately, but Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah,
there's already comic books based on it. There's the lands the lands around them, like especially in Paris, they have their own backstory.
Huge backstory.
Yeah,
it just makes sense that should be a movie. The other big things for me, because we have Haunted Mansion movies now.
Yep.
But there is no Phantom Manor movie, which has a different story.
Which could also tie into the Big Thunder Mountain part for Paris, because it all ties together.
It could be
or Mystic Manor, because
right.
that would be awesome with all the magic stuff, and you had the monkey as a character, and
Albert.
That would be kind of cool. Even if you wanted to do the I forgot his first name, but Hightower to do the Tower of Terror from Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a whole
Horatio.
backstory that kind of relates to Mystic Manor and stuff, and S.E.A.
Yeah, in the sea, everything could tie together, because
which they were going to make a Disney Plus show, and then that just
you're talking about the S.E.A. Right?
Yeah.
But if you're still going to push all this S.E.A. stuff on, then people need to know that backstory, because right now it's not being told.
Nope, I didn't know anything
these
about
little hidden things in the rides.
Yeah.
Other than like with the Jungle Book or the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
This has been the
I mean,
cinematic representation yet of S.E.A.
But they rebuilt the the Adventureland treehouse now, if you want to call it that.
Right.
With S.E.A. stuff on it. Mm-hmm. And then they're actually supposed to make a new
Swiss
Family Robinson show on Disney Plus, which is actually what that Adventureland treehouse would have been made by them, because they were fans of the original, and that's why those books are on the treehouse.
Right.
So
I'm waiting for the Tiki Room live action.
That too,
would be fun.
You could do that.
That would be really fun.
Yeah.
They made how many birds movies animated and whatever. You could totally
look at the birds and the Angry Birds and the Brio and all that kind of stuff. Why can't they make a Tiki Room?
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
and you
Disney
think Everest Matterhorn with the Yeti, that would work.
Oh yeah,
the Matterhorn one. And like I said, you could do Matterhorn or Everest. They're the same thing. There's just different locations.
So one's working and one's not.
I mean, but they both have Yetis inside, you know.
And Space
So
Mountain.
I do think if you did Matterhorn, especially with the tribute they have in there for
Frank Wells.
You could have a crash. I don't know if you want to do a helicopter, but you could have a crash site and then like have that like all tied in and like have like a tribute to him in there
with like bloody limbs everywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
No, but it'd be kind of
smoking
cool if they had like
helicopter
a ski
crash,
lift that
that
looked
kind
like
of
the Skyway, and then like that was like torn down by the Yeti, you know.
They're definitely missing a trick though, because they've wasted, I don't know how many millions of dollars they wasted on Snow White, but they could have made 2 decent ride-based movies that could tie in with something else in there, which would tie in with the park attractions, which would tie in with the fan stuff, and it would just be, it's a no-brainer. I just don't get why they don't do it.
Well, you know, that's the other thing too, is like they cancel good ideas. And then with the bad ideas that they pursue, they put a ton of money into it. And I'm like, you can't just throw cash at a bad idea. That won't make it good.
No. And it
Look
doesn't.
how many times they tried cancelling Snow White? There was like 4 times they tried cancelling it. Then they're like, oh no, we're bringing it back. And it's like, but why? Like what changed from 2 weeks ago to like
I mean,
2 weeks in the future?
There are independent film directors who can produce amazing movies with such tiny budgets. And it's like, here's this company like Disney who has all the money in the world and they can't produce a good movie. I just don't understand it, you know?
Yeah.
No, they would rather give these directors, these new directors, a whole Star Wars franchise and kill it.
This is what we're saying on my podcast though. When like this is where I have a bit of a rant now. But I think wholeheartedly, and agree with me or not, I think the whole reason why is after the Infinity Saga of Marvel is when they started pumping out all of this material, when they took over Marvel proper, and it was like all of this content they're bringing out because they were trying to keep on top of it, and it was just a machine of just all this content that we're bringing out that nobody wanted to begin with, of all these characters that we didn't know about unless you're like a die-hard comic fan, you know.
I mean, that kind of goes along with what I was just saying too, because they had all these different movies. The Russo brothers, Taika Waititi, whatever, whoever else was directing, Favreau, they couldn't do all these other movies, so they got all these little lame directors that didn't know what they were doing.
Exactly. Like, and it's just annoying. Like, it's so confusing.
They're following the DEI stuff too.
That too. Which hopefully that, and maybe now at least a little bit, they realize they can't just throw money at a movie and make it good.
Yeah.
Did Snow White really bomb, or was it just people who hated it?
It's rated the worst movie of all time.
They have already fired her. They are never going to work with her again.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And all the people that gave it good reviews were people that were paid to say it was good.
First weekend,
what I found hilarious is that
55 million.
What I found hilarious is like all of the Disney pages were like the people, like the official Disney pages were like, "This is the best movie you'll ever see," and it's like, it's not going to be. Like,
it's junk.
I mean, I know people tell me like, "Oh, don't judge a movie by its trailer," but I'm like, a lot of times I feel like I'm right about what movies I like to watch based off of what I see in the trailer.
Oh,
and when I see these CGI dwarves and and just
thank you.
I'm like, what is the, I don't know.
You know what it is, Alex? They didn't want to affect
story. Don't make your
change the story.
Character talk, for Christ's sake.
But they didn't want to offend Pete. They didn't want to offend anyone with like the little people, the dwarves, whatever you want to call them. But yet they made CGI characters and didn't give people an opportunity to be those characters, therefore creating an even further gap in that market of people with that certain disability. You know what I mean? Like, it just opened.
It's not like there's a shortage of little people actors, is there?
No, there isn't. I mean, top of your head,
in the United
Warwick
States.
Davis. Peter Dinklage. Like they're two of the
Well, he's a
biggest
dick,
ones you could.
so, yeah.
Yeah, it might be, but they're two of the biggest you could possibly.
Yeah, he's the reason why they didn't do it, because he kicked
Yeah.
up a fuss.
Yeah, well,
They should have just told him to shush and
They
just.
should, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, the thing is, I would love to see more movies that star a little person because, I mean, there's all kinds of great stories that can be told with, you know.
So this is like the worst part of that. There is a little person talking for one of the dwarfs. He's the guy. He's the little guy from Pirates.
Oh, really?
So he's in this and he's proud of it, and that's fine. But you have a dwarf playing a dwarf. Why don't you just make them all real people?
Real.
Like,
Why won't they do
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
And it
by the
all
way, the
comes
dwarves
back
have
to-
powers now. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Magic.
Their eyes can sparkle through the diamonds, apparently.
And Dopey talks.
Yeah.
Dopey
Dopey's in,
talks?
Dopey's in the
Narrator
race.
of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not
But-
even all of it. There's like 10
You know-
things that they changed. And it's like,
You know who did the dwarfs really well? ABC with Once Upon a Time. Like
Yes.
that show, except from season 7, which is absolute garbage and trash and needs to be thrown in a furnace, was insane. Like Once Upon a Time, the stories they told with like the characters was just incredible. Why not hire those people that were in it for literally 7 years worth of character building? Just put them in the movie. Why not do that? You had them on
Because
retainer.
Jennifer Goodwin isn't a teenager, Zach. That's why.
No, not Jennifer Goodwin. The people that played the dwarfs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the people who were playing Grumpy and Happy and Doc.
They
Like put
could have
them in.
de-aged her.
Yeah, they
It would have been
de-aged
fine.
her. But she would. Yeah, but she would have been busy with Zootopia, wouldn't she? Judy Hopps.
Yeah,
was
you're
playing
right.
Bad Boys.
Judy Hopps,
So,
isn't she?
yeah. So, also Regina is like hands down the best evil queen. Absolutely, just 100%.
Yep.
I
Steve's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's okay, Steve.
It's okay.
I'm just gonna say yes.
Yes.
And that's how
I
it needs
agree.
to be. Speaking of, the ratings for it is rated the worst movie on IMDb with a 1.3.
Surprised it got that much.
A 1.3.
since we're trashing it.
Yeah, since we're trashing it.
Snow White holds number 1. And like, who cares? I mean, it's all overseas.
I
Like,
mean,
they can't even-
yeah, but they're putting Jason Statham's a working man, and he just played, I'm a rough and tough
Well,
man.
yeah, it's Beekeeper number 3.
I'm the beekeeper. It's like, no, shut up, man. You're a bald guy from Cockney, London.
But they were
Shut
like, the first day it came out, they're like, oh, it's number 1 in the box office. Like, that was the only movie released.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
a lot of people I've seen on the UK Disney groups have gone to see if it is actually as bad as what it is slated to
And
be.
they say yes.
And 50% of them have said it's the biggest pile of garbage known to man, don't go and see it. And the other 50% are trying to be all like, oh, it's actually not too bad. It's really, I quite like the way they've changed the story. No, shut up. If you're a Disney fan, you're going to think it's garbage.
So this,
But they're
this
the
is
kind of
from-
people that always find the positive in everything. So
How much did they get paid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is from
she
today.
just
so-
looks weird. I don't know what it is about her, but she just looks
It's because,
weird.
mate, have you seen her in the white outfit? She looks like, is it Lord Farquaad where they're comparing her to?
Yes.
I saw that meme. Yeah.
That,
It's hilarious.
did you-
But also Gal Gadot, well, like, I don't think she's not the right choice for an evil queen. Like, she's
No.
like,
yeah.
I heard she was horrible in this.
Yeah.
That meme had like the theories behind it that Snow White was Lord Farquaad's mother,
Mom.
and
yeah. Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah, and one of the dwarfs was his dad. That's why
Yeah.
it's so short.
Yeah. You can't.
Yeah, he had like the same buckle on his belt as like Rumpel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was hand me down. That's funny.
I don't like being mean about people. Say nothing, Steve. But she was just, I don't know what it was. In all their interviews and gave, she just came across as being a really horrible person.
Well, she was like
Yeah.
trashing the movie in the beginning.
Yeah, you know what? I will say that
Very
you know, 'cause
entitled.
I didn't see the
Yeah,
movie,
very
but I
entitled.
did see a bunch of publicity with her, and she was never a pleasant person in any of them.
No.
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 She just comes across as being really like
Negative.
Yeah, negative. She's like not approachable. She's just like a very prickly.
It's like
grumpy,
she
entitled
thought
Muppet.
this movie was going to do good, and that she was going to be like the best actress, and she was going to be a bitch about, I'm Snow White.
Yeah, but you've touched
You
sacred
suck,
ground.
so-
It's just something you can't do, and it's. I'm glad that they've learned from this lesson. The only other live action that's coming out and that actually does look decent is the Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah,
but then I hope that proves to them that, like, sure, we didn't ask for it, but like it looks pretty good. Like I'm pretty excited for Lilo and Stitch to come out. But I hope they come out with something like, right, we're not going to touch the princesses. We know that's not something we need to do now. We're going to work on something else. We're going to work on original park ideas with like S.E.A. We're going to reopen that can, or we're going to do some underrated classics that deserve a live action and a new breath
like,
of life.
Steve and I were always saying you can do a sequel that has another aspect of that story.
Yeah.
Like
Little Mermaid, like you say, the Little Mermaid. Yeah,
you didn't have to redo a Little Mermaid. You could have had. She has 12 sisters. You could have had another story with another mermaid.
Yeah, exactly. You could have had a theme.
Well, you know what movie I liked was Maleficent.
Yes.
I was
With
like,
Angelina Jolie.
Third one,
Yeah.
so you're in luck.
Yeah, I mean, I liked that because they told a different aspect of the story.
A different
I mean,
angle of the story.
Yeah, it wasn't a retelling. It wasn't a remake. It was like its own thing, and I was like, "This is pretty cool," you know?
Yeah.
Just like the Cruella film.
Yeah,
the Cruella film was the same thing. It was a different perspective.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make something
the way she was.
If you're gonna make something, make it completely different.
Exactly.
And
Another thing I like
and give the dwarves a superpower. No.
Yeah, there's
if you're gonna make it, don't have dwarves then. Make it something different.
Did they have superpowers?
Yes,
they
they're able to find the gems like magically.
Can't remember that being in the original.
What does that have to do with the story?
Nothing, but they had to make them different. Whatever.
Yeah.
And she didn't have a love interest. She had like a gay best friend, essentially, is what it was. Wasn't it? What was it called? Jonathan or something?
Nah, I don't know.
Or whatever he is. I don't know. Whatever he's supposed to be.
You can look it up. There was like a thing
so
going around. It said
bizarre.
like 10 things that were different, and they were all dumb.
I don't understand what's up with movies nowadays where it's like, oh, we can't have women falling in love with men or anything like that because, women are there. It's like people fall in love with people. It's never changed.
Yeah.
Alex, it's woke, man. What you want about? Come on.
Well, that was the whole DEI thing. It's like you can't turn on the TV these days and just see like a regular couple. It's always has to be interracial or they have to be gay. And that's fine, but they're not doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it just because they can.
They can, not because they should.
Because the story is entitled to it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like what I talk about, like with what's that Star Wars movie that had what's her name, Laura Dern in it?
That's one of the last ones.
One of the last ones, and they really beat the audience over the head with that movie, saying that men were just idiots and that the women were the ones that would have to like fix the problem.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a horrible thing to like tell young boys, like, oh, you're going to be stupid and women are going to have to rule your life. And then the thing about
well, we are
women look really pushy and not all. Well, I'm pushy.
Yeah, they're just aggressively helpful, Shaz.
But then,
is,
so there are ways to make these really cool female characters that can stand their own. I mean, look at Ellen Ripley from the Alien series. One of the most awesome.
Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia in the first Star Wars.
Well, and this is what I'm saying. Did Disney have some kind of female problem? Because their whole base is princesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their female problem is called Kathleen Kennedy. That's their female problem.
But I'm saying, like, why start doing all this when your whole base is princesses? Yeah. Like, you should have more men characters.
There was one
princesses
thing.
have evolved, haven't they? Because they all started off as being damsels in distress, and oh my god, I can't live without a man. But the further you get to like Mulan. She was looking after
herself. I was going to say, Mulan Hercules is when it started to change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. She's
Yeah,
like, I don't
Belle
need no
is-
man in my life.
yeah, exactly. And you get all the way through to Tiana and Rapunzel that
Yeah.
are quite
But you know what?
self-sufficient.
They still
but they
fell in
work in
love.
partnership with their guy, like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
people do in real life. So I don't
Which
understand
is
what
why
the problem is.
Tiana's one
Yeah,
of the best.
that's one of the things I liked the Princess and the Frog movie a lot because it
Yeah, that's one of
showed
your
that
favorites. Yeah.
it's one of my favorites because it
Yeah.
showed that she was, you know, she was working hard, she was doing her own thing. Even at the very end of the movie, some people think that her friend Lottie still gave her the money for that restaurant, but she didn't. It was still all Tiana's money. She just
was all
got Ernest
Tiana,
to
yeah.
scare the guys into giving her the place. But
Yeah.
you know, like she did everything all on her own, and it had a great message, which was, you know, like you can wish upon a star, but you know, you got to meet it
You've got to
halfway
put
by
in
with
the work. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was a wonderful movie, you know,
Oh, absolutely.
but yeah, it's unfortunately it's just Disney doesn't they have to like beat people over the head with like this whole
It's
And
like
I was reading something the other day though, and it said Disney did diversity and equality or whatever so well before they even tried. And you look
Yeah,
back the
when
past
they
like
try-
10, 20 years.
Yeah.
You look like Princess and the Frog is a perfect example. Frozen, sorry, Shaz, is another example. Like they're not trying to push it down your throat. It's just a story they're telling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now because they're trying so hard to please everyone, it's not going to work, and it's just failing them every
No,
single
you're right.
time.
Princess and the Frog is a great example. They made the
And
main character black,
Mhm.
and it takes place in the South.
in 1920s New Orleans
Yeah,
when
that totally makes sense.
segregation was definitely a thing.
Mhm.
You know, it was, you know, like it and they're not trying to hide that. Like that is part of the message.
Yeah, but that's
And
exactly what I mean. It's like you don't just
across.
change a character, but if it makes sense with the story,
Yeah, if it makes sense with the story, fair enough. But like, if you change it for the sake of it, like you said, time and time again.
well, because that
there's
one
no point.
their whole director of DEI just came out like, I'm going to change this character because I can, and no one's going to stop
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got fired. So
Yeah.
You got stopped. There you are.
But
that's
she
the
did
thing.
her damage.
They get hired or whatever, just not for their qualifications, like Jason was saying with some of these directors or whatever. They just get stuck in there because
you made
They've-
one movie.
Made
Congratulations.
one
you're
good
so-
movie that made Red an Oscar nominee or an Oscar winner, and they're like, "Oh, you're the recipe for success."
You
or
made a documentary,
or
a live action movie.
they fit in the category that they need to fill in the blank.
Oh yeah,
Flavor of the week.
You know,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
you're, you know, this certain race or whatever. So
Yeah.
you fit our agenda. So you can go ahead and have this film and you do whatever you want because this is your thing.
Yeah.
And not because they're, what do you call it? An
Quality
established.
filmmaker.
Yeah. And they know what they're doing. They have all the credit under their belt and all this stuff. No.
I
It's
think
like
I mentioned
putting
before.
me as an English teacher that
Yeah.
I'm good at math, but I'm not good at English. And
No,
then you
you're
put
not.
me in there because I'm a different color or I'm a different
You're
race
all the
or
colors.
whatever. So
Yeah, you're all the colours and
Yeah.
all the races.
what are you, Steve? I mean,
Nobody knows.
I think I mentioned this before though. I love the way they do the directors on the Mando show.
yes,
Because they're all
exactly.
different. They all have their own episodes. They all have their strong points, but they all come together and they share the same story.
Yeah, but it works for a show. It works for a
But
show.
you could do the same thing with like trilogy. If
Yeah, I
you're
mean-
all on the same page, instead of here's J.J. Abrams, I want to make the first one, and then Ryan Johnson comes in and makes Luke just toss his lightsaber for no apparent reason.
Which is
yeah, if they have
never
a plan that they follow, it'll be good. But it's what they did with the new trilogy where they didn't have a plan. Well, I mean, I guess they say J.J. Abrams had a plan at first, but
he had
then
a
the
plan
next
and-
director came in
yeah.
and threw it out.
Right.
But that's
Literally
what
threw it
happens is like they should have never let that director just throw out those plans. It's like however bad the J.J. Abrams idea was, you need to stick to it. Because if you start doing your own thing and willy-nilly, you'll ruin the story like they did.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is if you hire a director, that director is supposed to take the story that was written and do it in his style, right?
Yeah.
Not change that story. That's a different thing. That's rewriting the movie.
Yeah.
Your director is not a writer, unless your director actually happened to write a movie. But these ones didn't. So they're just taking the story and going, I can do whatever I want because that's what KK said.
Yeah.
And she allowed it, and that's what happened. And that's why things didn't work out like they should have.
I feel like
And
that.
that's why Galaxy's Edge should have been Tatooine.
They should have had a lot of things like monsters running around and having a restaurant and having the other ride and things that they shoved into a hotel that didn't work out, and they still haven't brought it back.
No, they still have, and it's still gone forever.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex. What were you saying?
Yeah, sorry.
No, I think I said it. I don't remember what I was going to say. But yeah, it's just depressing, like what Disney has become and what they've gotten into, and it's just like,
and that's like my family and friends and stuff. They like, why do you like Disney? I said, I don't really like Disney, the company. I like the park.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm the same. Like people are like, oh, have you seen what's happening with it? And like, I don't associate myself as being a fan of the company. I associate myself being a fan of the parks. It's a whole different ball game.
For me, for me, that's it's I'm separate.
It's separate. It's separate. Yeah.
Even though it really is together, but for me personally, I don't like the company, what they do, and
no, I don't.
And the biggest insult is the parks, and the cruises are what make their money.
Exactly, they make the money,
and they're putting money into more cruise ships, but like the parks need money too, and not just the rides.
And they're giving us all these ideas of, we're going to be building this, we're going to be building that,
and then they don't.
You need to fix some stuff that's broken first, please.
Well, you see them doing little things here and there, which is good. I mean, like right now you see them actually doing stuff for a DCA, getting ready to put in the new expansion for Avengers Campus. But where's all the stuff from Disneyland Forward? Where's that?
Well, also
it's gone now. It's
the whole essence
don't talk about it
of Disney is having little characters here singing things here, Golden Horseshoe, live action stunts on Marvel, and they're all being taken away.
Golden Horseshoe is, I can't believe that
it's just
there's
sitting
not one show now at all. I mean, they're redoing the front to make it look pretty again, but bring back the entertainment.
I mean, it's literally a stage restaurant. It's designed for.
I have a feeling that they are going to have something for the 70th because they are working on the Tomorrowland stage as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but will it go away again when the 70 is finished?
I'm sure it will. It'll go away, and then they won't have nothing.
Because
and it better be good.
No entertainment in the Disney.
I'll let you all know.
Thanks, Zach.
I'll be there.
We get to go and miss the 70th, and Zach's going to get there and just in time.
Well, we'll go get it in September.
Yeah, well,
the 70th will be over. Oh no, it's lasting it
no,
for the year.
No, it's not. It's for 18 months, Zach.
I'm lasting it for the year.
Yeah, it usually goes for like over a year.
Yeah. Unless it's Disney World, it was like 2.
Well, we have that.
2 and a
and
bit.
it was good.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I can go down with you, and then go down to, Disney World.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to go down again for when Zach gets down there as well. I just love seeing people's reactions to Disneyland.
Yeah, it's fun. Time. That's what I like. Well, the first thing shot. Never mind. I'll skip that.
No, shush.
What?
Don't. I'll
tell you later. I'll tell you off camera.
We won't even get to see their first time because they're going to go into the park before we even get there.
That's true.
We're going to DCA on Saturday.
Yeah, so they're going to DCA on Saturday, Alex, when you go to
Queen Mary.
And then Sunday, they're going to Galaxy's Edge because it's May the 4th. So they're doing the whole thing over there. And then we're going to have the trivia that evening.
If you have time, you guys should go to the Queen Mary as well. Walt Disney did travel on the ship several times, 3 times.
Yeah, his picture's on there.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool place.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's neat.
Depends on the time we get down there. Hopefully, I'll be leaving early Saturday. It would be awesome. I haven't been on the Queen Mary in maybe once, forever ago. So
yeah. So the last time I was on the Queen Mary, before I went with Alex and Chris was I was a little kid and I flew in the bubble copter that went around the Queen Mary.
Yeah.
And then they had all the shops, and it reminded me of like a little bit like an Alpine Village type thing, and the shops down below and stuff.
That's being demolished today.
Is it really?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, literally today, the little London town area that they have, they're demolishing that.
So, but what about the telephone booths? Are they keeping that?
Oh yeah. They moved them. So those are all original London telephone booths that came on the ship when it arrived in 1967, and they've moved all those closer to the ship, so that way when they demolish the little village area, that they don't get destroyed. But yeah, pretty cool.
Cool.
And then I know people who own one of the original London double-decker buses. That they're from 1952, I think. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they're fun. I rode one in Vancouver.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, was to I think it was the one that went to Busch Gardens on Victoria Island.
Oh, why was I thinking Ventura? I was
not Ventura.
Victoria.
Ventura, indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
1,800 miles south. Yeah.
I was like,
you can ride the omnibus at Disneyland.
Oh gosh.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Last words?
I'm good.
Any last words?
Thanks for watching.
So the list, the recommended list is on the Discord server, right? As we speak, for
The
films
list
that
of-
we want to see.
Yeah,
Right?
I'll post them in the description when we're done here, along with links to things that we shown.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will take my post-it note list and turn it into an actual real list.
All right.
Sorry, I like to write things down. I'm very old school.
It's all right.
Because I'm
It's called digital notepad on your right click, new text.
Well, I was just expecting her to post it in the chat, and you could just copy and paste. Okay, well, Alex, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Always good when you're on.
Thank you for inviting me on.
If you want to do a Disney video with us, like original, not put it on your channel in front of your trolls, you know, we're here, help you out. I don't know, just throwing it out there. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Like, subscribe. Can't talk today. Share with friends or family. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts on everything, and we'll see you on the next one.
Have a magical day.
Peace.